So a part of what we do at the Griswold Method is talk to really interesting individuals and people that I believe that have inspired me in my life, and hopefully they inspire you in your life, and share stories about the conversations that we've had, the experiences we've had together. And so I bring this guy here. This is Mike Rodriguez, and you've never probably seen him with me because he's usually on the other end of the camera lens. And so most of the time, we're in a different studio, and I just said, you know what? Come sit on this side with me. And so I just wanted to get him on camera and have a couple conversations about some of the experiences that he's had. So, and actually, you know what? Let's do the three that we just talked about before. If we could, we do the black mold, we would do the PMF, and then the hyperbaric. And that I'm just going to kind of roll into that as story-wise. Here's the thing. Mike and I have been together for 6, almost 7 years now. And I would say in pretty tight relationship, like a brother. And I was your first. Was I your first or second? After when you were with we won't say their name.
First.
The other company.
No. I won't give too much information, but very quickly the first. After my situation there. Very quickly the first.
I remember the phone call, and I remember you answering the phone with like, dude, I've been waiting for this call. That's how it wasn't like a hello. It was like, And so it's been a really beautiful relationship. If you're seeing me now, it is probably because he made that happen. So in front of the camera, in front of you, I want to humbly honor you as to what you've done here we go. As what you've done for my family and to help grow the business and grow what my mission is, to do the things that, I come at you with some crazy harebrained ideas, and I'm not easy to work with. And I just want to say thank you for what you've done for my family and to help grow what we're trying to do on this mission. So,
of course, man. Love you.
I didn't mean to do that. That was not planned. Okay, so what I would say is let's have a conversation about how we've worked together, but not from a camera perspective. Let's have a conversation about how we work with your health.
Yeah, lots of stuff behind the scenes.
And so let's open that one with and we call this the black mold story. And we were telling it behind camera a second ago. And the previous guest was like, wow, that's a great story. Well, this is what this is about. So tell the story, Mike.
Yeah, that one was pretty intense for me personally. I would say I base my life pre-mold and post-mold now, because for, I would say about 5 years, I was having crazy symptoms, anywhere from neurological issues to my body hurting 24/7, not sleeping. I have stories that pop up on my memories now of me waking up at 2 a.m, and then I would remember I would wake up in a panic, and there's no way you can go back to sleep. Everything was just bad. Having a ton of pain in my shoulders because of, camera work and all that. But the day that I knew that like something terrible was happening, and I think it was 48 hours after we had our initial talk, I started losing my speech. And that's when I started, freaking out. Like, what could it possibly be? Your brain kind of goes crazy. I went to Dr. Matt's office. We had a meeting that day. I do remember. And I remember fighting off a panic attack, just knowing that I was on my way to people. Like my body would just automatically go into that fight or flight. But when I got there, I kind of pulled you back, and all the docs went back there, and I just started crying and just shaking profusely. It was crazy. And the first thing you said, you asked if my house held moisture, and then mentioned black mold.
First, I asked who died.
Who died? Yeah. And when I said no one, it was a very quick question, which is really crazy. Dr. Matt and I have had a crazy relationship. He always seems to be. He just knows. That's from my experience. But when he told me that, I ran home. I started, going behind the blinds, curtains, and then I opened up my AC unit to find. I had white doors, white paint, but inside it was no longer white. It was just pure black. And then I started looking in corners of my wooden floors and tons of black spots. And then I moved out that night. But after that, 2 or 3 weeks, most of my symptoms started disappearing. And this will kind of lead into the PEMF and stuff like that, because that was 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been dealing with what I would assume maybe something from years of black mold exposure. But we'll get into that a little later. But somehow Dr. Matt mentioned it, and I moved out that night, and my health started rapidly getting better.
Can you say some of the medicine you were on or some of the SSRIs?
Yeah, I wish I could remember.
It's okay.
No, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because for 3 to 5 years, I don't know how long, I was having a bunch of issues and went to the doctors for anxiety and stuff of that nature. I forget what SSRI I was initially put on.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an SSRI. I was on it for a year, and that just kind of blunts everything out. So I just didn't really feel anything, and kind of just chalked it down to mental thing, whatever. I got off of the SSRIs, and everything kind of just started hitting me. But that's when we found the mold, and that's in hindsight, I didn't have to take the SSRIs for a whole year. I didn't have to take any of that stuff, but of course I should have just went to you initially.
So the deal was in the morning when I go to see patients, I always say, Lord, let me be a vessel, let my mouth do your work and my hands move the bone, and let me be a vessel for the patient. And so sometimes just stuff falls out. And that was a day when I was very present, and I just said, Mike, there's mold. And he moved out, and within 3 weeks there was a complete transition. The guy changed, the lights came back on, everything came back to normal, and he gives me a lot more credit. All I did was move out. Like it was really easy on my end. But I encourage you, if you're hearing this or you're hearing that story, just be aware where you are. And if you feel the nudge to say something, just say it. More often than not, I've been able to affect a lot of different lives. People that had, I had a guy that had a brain cancer that was on his head. I said, something's wrong with the top of your head. I need you to get that checked out. He's like, I said, no, tomorrow. And come to find out, he had a brain tumor. What I found is over my career, just say what you feel like you're supposed to say. Listen to the nudge, because it's probably not from you. And that was that case. Yeah. And so
you've done that for me a few times.
Well, here's what I would tell you. If you're listening to me and you say, yeah, he does that a lot. If you know me, you know I do that a lot. I don't care if it's not for you then. Like if it just falls flat, cool. But if it sticks, that's a life changer for you. And that's why it's worth saying it. Like, and it stuck for him, and he pulled back the curtain, and there was the thing. Say the thing. Lesson 1 from Mike on accident. Wasn't planning on that lesson. Yeah. From there, we had, I've launched a company called Total Human Protocol, where I use red light therapy and oxygen therapy and PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency therapy, to do a lot of really neat things to biohack you, to be able to put you in different states, et cetera, et cetera. And so Mike, his business grew. It grew exponentially, and to a point to where it was just hard to throttle for him. Yeah. And it became a lot on his body, and I started to see the same symptomatology come back again. So I thought I was going to, lightning strike twice, like, yo, you got the mold?
That's what scared me. And I came up to you, and I was like, hey, I'm starting to feel all those symptoms again. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was, when you move to another place and then you start feeling the symptoms, your brain starts going crazy. I was like, I don't want to go through that again at all. But that's where the PEMF comes in huge. Like this second time around recently in the last 90 days for me.
So what a PEMF mat is an electromagnetic mat. It is literally a mat with 8 coils of copper in a wire that is under you, and it's pretty, and it's got crystals, and it's warm, and we create a really nice space for it. But the truth is the science, and it what it does is it emits a frequency. Depending on the setting that we decide to emit, it emits a frequency that lowers your vibrational state to a deep delta state, almost in meditative state. And so for Mike, somebody with high anxiety, they can't really get down into that deep delta state. I can take him, give him a chiropractic adjustment, adjust the atlas, stimulate the vagus nerve, immediately put him on the mat, and it is the equivalent of, 3 margaritas. Like he's just like, shoo.
I've fallen asleep multiple times within 10 minutes
from an anxiety state.
Yeah,
and so
from shaking, like I would come in
sweaty,
shaking, sweating. I could barely speak. And then within 5-10 minutes of being on that mat, I'm actually sleeping.
Once again, natural, holistic, working with the body's innate ability to heal on its own, creating the right conditions and environment. The body does what it's supposed to do. And that's it. That's the essence of what we're trying to do here. It's what we're doing with the podcast. And it's been fun to also like see me get excited about technology, and then you go, ooh, I should try that. And then you see an actual health response to the things we're doing. And it's like, it's fun when you guys, the patients, see it. It's really cool when the people that are recording and putting me out see it.
Yeah.
And that becomes a whole different ballgame.
A whole different ballgame.
Lastly, let's talk about I didn't realize it till a minute ago that we had 3 pretty good miracles with Mike. And the last miracle that we have to talk about today, which I would say is probably not super, none of it's a miracle. It's all just happening because we're in the right place, the right time, doing the right things, and the body's responding. Let's talk about your stepdaughter.
Yeah.
And you mind talking about what she's got going on with her health and with her mind and all that?
So in a nutshell, I've been around her for about a year and a half. And for the first, I would say 6 to 7 months, I would not really see her eat. She would be very nervous all the time, very shy. Now, for me, I don't really have too much experience, being like the stepfather or anything like that, but those were things that I did notice. And when we were talking to you about it, we were like, okay, we might as well see how it goes. My big worry at first was her just going in there, being around, strangers. She doesn't have good time doing that.
Will you give a little bit of her symptoms, like what she experiences?
The eating, that's a big one for me.
Socially,
yeah, that was a big one. Not anymore. That's a completely different story now. The eating, that was one that I specifically noticed. And then just any other things, like maybe, I don't know, like hitting herself or not necessarily paying attention, just little things like that.
Now, has she been tested for any?
Yes.
And
I believe now, I don't want to necessarily like speak out of place.
Sure.
But like a mild form.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So not necessarily,
somewhere. That's why they call it a spectrum.
Exactly.
It's a long range. Yeah.
Exactly. So, some of those things I would notice. Now, I'm not necessarily well versed in that, but those were the things that
stuck out to you.
The ones that I noticed.
Yep.
Yeah. And then from the first day that we went into 9-minute chiropractic total human protocol, she went into the hyperbaric chamber, and it was really interesting to see, because when she got out, she was smiling, quiet, and started interacting with Dr. Matt, which that's for me, that's going to be the most eye-opening thing, because she won't necessarily interact with a stranger, but she went right up to you, and it almost like light came back in her eyes. And ever since that first hyperbaric chamber, eating like crazy, going to the grocery store and high-fiving people walking by, it just seems like it's just more life, it seems, at least to me personally, you know what I mean?
So the experience with the child is that social stuff, couldn't go to the grocery store. That's what the mom said to me. Couldn't do a lot of things, just that she was struggling. And I said, man, I don't know what I can do or how to do it. And he asked, is there anything that you could help with? I said, honestly, my gut is to tell her to go into hyperbaric. My gut is to say, put some oxygen in that brain and see what happens. And she did. Mom trusted me. And that night was, she got out of this hyperbaric, comes up to me, and I got a full sleeve tattoo, and I'm a big guy, and she walks right up to me and starts to speak. She goes over to him and starts to speak, ask him for a bag of chips. And the mom, she talks to the mom and actually verbally has a verbal conversation with the mom right after we get out of hyperbaric. Now, the only reason I bring that story and I call it a miracle story is, once again, that's just working with what we know is going to work with the body. Oxygen's going to work with the body. The child is having some social issues. Maybe if we saturate their bloodstream with oxygen, and there's a lot of research on hyperbaric and these types of things, these neurological deficits, the child starts to function like they're supposed to. And so what I wanted to get Mike on here was just that one, I didn't mean to get all the emotional feels of what you've done for me and my business. But two is that this is a part of the mission. This is a part of what we're doing with your camera work and my voice and my research and my early mornings of studying and doing all the things that I do. Jane is the reason.
Mm-hmm.
You are the reason. There's a list of people that are the reason that we're doing this on a Friday night, recording and getting information out there, because what I know for a fact is in today's day and age, you forgot to believe in yourself. You forgot to believe that the body has what it's supposed to have and that all you have to do is create the right conditions and the right environment, and it's going to do what it's supposed to do. All three of those stories were creating the right conditions and the right environment, and things got better. And if you're working with me, that's what we're going to try to do, is create the right conditions and the right environment, and your body's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. The tree in our house, if it's not in the right conditions and the right environment, it won't grow. If you're a human and you're not in the right conditions and the right environment, it won't work. That's it. So what is the total human protocol? What are the peptide protocols? What is he doing? What I'm doing is creating the right conditions and the right environment for you to be the best you. And it's bleeding over into my media guy that's standing behind the camera. Just hearing what I'm talking about says, I should try that. And I implore you to trust in yourself and try something that's going to create the right conditions and environment for you. Does that have to be through me? No. You can drink more water, right conditions, right environment. You can get more sunlight, right conditions, right environment. You could exercise, all of it. But I want you to focus on that you have what it takes. You have enough. Just create the conditions and environment for yourself to thrive. Mike, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. I know this is not comfortable for you to be on this side of the camera.
It's definitely interesting, but if it's with you, I'm always pretty comfortable.
I thought that we would have a good conversation. And then thank you for trusting me with your family and even your own health. It's an honor.
Of course. Thank you, brother.
Thanks again.